Good evening. Welcome to the Fernley Planning Commission, August 13th, 2025. Hearing devices are available. Please see the city clerk. To avoid meeting disruption, please place cell phones in the silent mode or turn them off during the meeting. All meetings are recorded. When addressing the Planning Commission, please sign in and state your name. Speak clearly into the microphone. Thank you for understanding. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Tessa Garvin, can you please lead us in the pledge? Okay, I will take roll. Commissioner Jacob Vanderheiden,
Present.
Commissioner Tessa Garvin,
Present.
Commissioner Cody Wagner, Vice Chair Angela Lewis,
Present.
Commissioner Barry Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Robert Flores,
Present.
and I, Chair Jenny McCullough, am present. We do have a quorum. Oh, I'm sorry, Julianne.
Present.
Thank you. We still have a quorum. 1.3. This is the portion of the meeting devoted to the public. The public may comment on any matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. Items not included on this agenda cannot be acted upon other than to place them on future agenda. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or use the raise your hand feature in Zoom, *9 if you are participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. The chair may, at her discretion, hold comments until the second public forum at the end of the meeting. Public comment submitted prior to 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be provided to the Planning Commission and added to the record, but will not be read during the live meeting. Any public input received after 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be included in the record, but may not reach commission members before action is taken. Is there any public input? If you are speaking at the podium, please print your name on the sheet provided.
It automatically comes on. Tammy Dittman for the record. We can't hear you in the back.
Okay,
The sound's only in the front.
okay, thank you. Is that better? Can you guys hear me now? Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
We had a comment about.
You need to step to the podium.
I don't know when to come comment is my point.
Are you wanting to comment on a specific agenda item?
Yes,
Okay, well, that will be at that agenda item.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else? Do we have anybody on Zoom? Okay. All right. 1.4, possible action approval of the agenda. Commissioner Lewis?
I'm going to make a motion that we continue 2.
Speak into your thing.
I'm going to make a motion to continue items number 2.15 to our September 5th meeting. Planning Commission has lots of questions and legal answers that need to be made before we do deciding on any additional zoning requests. That would
And-
be my only item for change at this moment.
And Aaron Mortson, City Attorney, are you recommending approval of the rest of the agenda as is?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we have a request to continue item 2.1 to next meeting. Can we get a second on that?
I second that motion.
Okay, we have can we please vote?
Should I vote verbally?
And did it not pop up on your screen? Then
No.
yes, what's your verbal vote?
I approve.
Okay. Okay, that item passes 7-0. Item 1.5, approval of the minutes from last meeting. Can I get a motion?
I
Yes, sir.
move to approve the minutes from the last planning session.
Okay. I have a motion. Can I get a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. May we please vote?
Julianne Holt votes to approve.
Thank you. Did it say something up there? Oh. We lost it. Okay. Okay, that passes 7-0 as well. Okay, 3.1, consideration and possible action regarding waiver application WVR 25002 submitted by Diane Anderson and Lisa Young for a site located at 80 Main Street, APN 020-021-03 in a CU commercial zoning district. The waiver application is to request the removal of curb, gutter, sidewalk, parking, and landscaping requirements.
Lisa Warner, Assistant Planner for the record. So there we go. This waiver application request is for a building site located at 80 Main Street, which is at the intersection of Main Street and Locust Street. Right across Locust Street is La Fiesta Restaurant. So we have, our current code allows for a waiver area, which according to table 3203090.1 is that downtown area that you see in the outlined in red. And what the waivers are permitted is curb, gutter, and sidewalk, number of parking spaces, and landscaping. So this site falls within that waiver area. The background on this site is it is a substandard development currently, meaning it was originally constructed in accordance with regulations, but it no longer meets our current development code. This is a new use for this site, and because the applicant wants to establish a new use, that use triggers that the site be brought up to current development code. And those improvements would include landscaping, street improvements, curb, gutter, and sidewalk, number of parking spaces. The primary issue with this site is improvements to bring it into compliance with current development code create a domino effect that affects curb, gutter, sidewalk, parking, and landscaping, making the compliance with the current development code impractical. The waiver request from the applicant is for curb, gutter, and sidewalk, number of parking spaces, and landscaping. There are 5 findings that have to be met to approve a waiver. Finding number 1, as you can see from the pictures, it's a fairly normal size, shape, topography site. Like I talked about earlier, the domino effect of the curb gutter, sidewalk, parking, landscaping, all creating a domino effect. It's hard to bring in one without affecting the other one, which affects the other one. So it makes complying with the code impractical. And the site is legally non-conforming because it is a substandard lot. So finding number 1 is met. Finding number 2 is met. It's currently in a C2 zone. This is also a C2 use. Finding number 3, it doesn't impact any fire, building, or health codes because they are asking for waiver items for exterior items, not anything within the building. Number 4, it's consistent with the master plan. The site is commercial. The neighboring parcels are also commercial, and it's in the waiver area of Main Street. Number 5, granting the waiver will provide a substantial property right that the other property owners have, as none of the other people in the area have curb gutter sidewalk. There's no curb gutter and sidewalk along Locust Street on either side. So there is curb gutter sidewalk along the front, along Main Street, but nothing on those side streets. This will allow for the forward movement of the coffee house use to open and operate, and it'll also ensure the property owner can maintain business opportunities going forward despite their site being substandard. In conclusion, because it is in the waiver applicability area, staff can make all 5 required findings. There isn't a right to appeal if someone so chooses. And then there's the recommended motion along with an alternative. Any questions? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I had a question. I can't tell if that coffee house is a drive-through coffee house or actually people moving into it and actually drinking inside. Because it looks pretty small to me. It looks like 2 buildings meshed together, and I'm wondering how much room is there in that building to occupy, standing room only in there or what?
So inside they're planning to have the coffee house. That was one of the problems with the parking and the landscaping out back on the side. Let me see if I can bring that picture back up. They plan on having an outdoor seating area. Oh darn, I don't have one of those pictures included. I think it was on the staff report though. But they do have a big section in the back that is already turfed.
Okay.
That's their plan for outdoor seating as
Yeah.
well. No drive-through.
And those 2 buildings are combined, they operate together?
No, this will just be in the brown building, which is where Tats and Flats are.
Oh, okay. So that's what the mystery is of those.
Right.
you
So
know,
their hope is
awkward
that this
buildings.
is a temporary use. They hope to grow,
There you go.
possibly, establish this, get established as a business, and then move somewhere else. But as far as where that might be, we don't have anything on that
No,
yet.
as far as not needing any parking improvement, that's just dirt there, right? In this side there. So
It
there's-
is.
So there's no requirement to put any gravel, nothing in there. Okay, right?
No. So if you can see on that top picture where the red arrow says existing parking,
Right.
there's room for about 4 spaces there.
Okay.
But technically it's in the road easement.
Okay.
So, and then if you were to require curb gutter and sidewalk going back down that street, it's going to take out that
Okay.
parking entirely. Plus it would take out part of the developed area in the back
Okay.
that's already there.
All right. Thank you.
That's the domino effect.
Okay.
I was just going to say that I've been to this place and there is adequate, I guess, parking for at least a few cars back there. And there is a substantial back area that's fenced in that they can, have their coffee
Outdoor seating,
tables.
yeah.
Yeah, outdoor seating. So, however, even though it does operate as separate buildings, when I went there last time, they basically had a door open between the 2. So people from the other side of the building can come into that side. So is that going to be completely partitioned off, or is the plan to extend into the old Keller Williams?
At this point, the information that we got from the applicant that's requesting the waiver is that they will just be in that one brown building.
If that's the case, could they still use the other building as storage specifically adjacent to it? Are they allowed to do that?
Well, that's not it's two different sites, two
Okay.
different addresses.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
There's another
if the
business
waiver
in
is
there.
done, then they can do their business license for 80 Main Street. It wouldn't be for 70 Main Street and 80 Main Street. It would just be for 80.
Okay. Thank you.
Aaron Mortson, City Attorney, just a brief reminder to state your name when you're about to make a statement and make sure you're called on by Commissioner McCullough first.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any further questions on this? Okay, and we do not need to open this up for public comment, correct?
This is not a public comment item.
Okay. All right, if there's no further comments or questions, shall we take a vote? Are we ready to vote? Okay. Can I get a motion on this? Oh, wait, we have. Yeah. Can we get a motion? Commissioner Garvin?
I move to approve the waiver associated with WVR 25002, subject to the conditions of approval 1 through 14, based on the findings WVR 01 through WVR 05 for the waiver and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report.
Okay, we have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Can we please vote?
Julianne Holt votes to approve.
Thank you. That item passes 7-0. All right, general business, item 4.1. Discussion and possible action to appoint one member of the Planning Commission to sit on the Technical Advisory Group working on the 3 corridor studies currently underway. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the commission, Michelle Rambo, Planning Director for the record. This is to go along with one. Well, let me try that again. We are working on 3 corridor studies right now with NDOT for Farm District Road, 95 south from Main Street, and then Main Street from exits 46 to 48. And they have asked us to potentially get a volunteer from the Planning Commission to sit on the Technical Advisory Committee through that process. I have in the staff report, I included a schedule of kind of a draft tentative meeting schedule. So you get an idea of how much commitment would be required. And I also included some information on what the Technical Advisory Committee would be doing. So give you an idea of what we'd be talking about. So I'm open to volunteers.
One quick question. Do we know who else is on this committee?
It's several different members, and it's on that first slide I put in your report. It's the city, NDOT, sheriff, North Line Fire, and a couple other representatives, along with the consultant and the city.
Yes, sir.
Are there any council members on this committee?
No.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, so I did have a chance to talk to Cody Wagner about this, who's not here tonight. He said he was willing to be appointed to this if nobody else was willing to do it. Is anyone else wanting to volunteer for this particular position?
Hold on. Oh, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Should we also vote for, say, an alternate in case Cody's unavailable?
Couldn't hurt.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Commissioner Lewis?
I have a question. So if they're having these meetings, what if one of us on the commission wanted to attend and just be quiet and listen? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, as long as there's not two of you, more than two of you.
Aaron Morrison, City Attorney, you are a quorum of 7, and so I actually think we could get away with up to 3.
Up to 3. Okay.
I would volunteer as the alternate.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we have Cody Wagner as the appointee and Commissioner Flores as the alternate. So is this something that we need to vote on?
Yes,
Okay.
and I did include a motion on the report for you.
Okay. All right. So can we get a motion on this?
Commissioner Lewis, here, I move to appoint Commissioner Cody Wagner to represent the Planning Commission as a member of the Corridor Study Technical Advisory Committee, as well as Commissioner Flores as an alternative as needed.
Okay. We have a motion. Can we get a second? Commissioner.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Julianne Holt votes to agree.
Thank you. Okay, that passes 7-0. All right, public hearing 5.1. Discussion and possible action to recommend approval of a bill 362 associated with CA 25002 to amend Title 32, Chapter 9, Section 090, Landscaping and Screening of the City of Fernley Development Code to update the location and design requirements for trash enclosures and update the screening requirements for mechanical and electrical equipment and facilities. Yes, ma'am.
Lisa Warner, Assistant Planner for the record. Okay, the background on this code amendment is during recent commercial projects have shown that current requirements in the Fernley Development Code for trash enclosures and mechanical and electrical screening are vague and unclear. It's been determined that more specific requirements should be added to the code. Which will make it easier for staff to enforce the requirements. It will also ensure consistent and compliant trash enclosures and mechanical and electrical equipment and facility screening throughout the city of Fernley. This is a proposed trash enclosure that we would like to see. We've added location requirements, height, enclosure construction materials, gate construction materials, a concrete floor with a service apron, and spill containment systems for a restaurant or similar uses. The changes for the mechanical and electrical screening include screening height, the screening of ductwork, antennas, satellite discs, and only allowing chain link fence screening in industrial zones. There are 2 findings that have to be met. Finding number 1 is it consistent with the master plan? The master plan doesn't specifically address trash enclosures or mechanical screening. Therefore, there is no violation. So number 1 is met. Finding number 2, public notices were completed in the newspaper, and public hearings will be held at the Planning Commission tonight and then at the second reading at City Council in September. And there is my recommended motion.
Okay, do we have any questions? Commissioner Flores?
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical about the standard because you're going to apply it to 4-unit apartment buildings also. I see that. I don't think it's too much onerous for industrial site, but a 4-unit apartment isn't an investor of a lot of money. It's maybe a $500,000 investment. This is a substantial takeaway from the cost of development. And for example, where I live, I live in a quad, and we have a little patio in the back. And if you require the trash enclosure, it's going to have to be worked somewhere in there, that lot. It's going to reduce the internal patio of the building. It's going to add a tremendous cost to the developer, I think. And these are not like big money bag investors. And there's a lot of little places where the quad buildings can still be built if it was financially feasible to do so. And also, I noticed that single family homes have trash enclosures inside, but they don't use them. They leave their trash cans outside. Now, these trash cans are pretty small. Even in the quad buildings, they're just lovely little green things that don't go up too high. They're not odious to look at, in my opinion. But maybe some people object to it. So my point of view is that maybe this should be raised to a size 6 unit or greater requirement for the trash enclosure. That's the only objection I have to the trash enclosure, in truth. Just just putting it out there. Okay, thank you.
Okay, did you have a question, Commissioner Lewis?
I did. I just want to know what particular properties that we're looking to enforce this on. Is it, of course, any future development, which would negate forcing a developer that's already there having to go through that expense? Or is it just really based on commercial and industrial?
It would be anything moving forward.
Anything moving forward. So that would negate the concern about smaller communities having to fork out the funds to meet that requirement.
Unless we keep it with the 4, then anybody, if they were to come in and build a 4-plex, would have to do
that at
right.
that point. So that would be an expense they would have to
Right.
anticipate, but it's not going to affect anybody now.
Right.
Okay, very clear. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this? No? Do we have any public comment? Anybody on Zoom? No? Okay. Be it none, can we get a, Commissioner Holt, did you have any question on this? No. Okay. So can we get a motion on this? Where's the motion? All motion. Do you want a motion? Okay. Do you have it up? Commissioner
Yeah.
Lewis?
I move to recommend that the city council approve bill number 362 associated with CA 25002 as presented by staff.
All right, we have a motion. Can I get a second? Commissioner Garvin?
I will second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Can we please vote?
Julianne Holt votes to approve.
Thank you. That passes 6-1. All right. Next item on the agenda is, excuse me, 5.2, discussion and possible action regarding concurrent requests for zoning map amendment, ZMA 25001, and tentative subdivision map, TSM 25001, from Wood Rogers, Inc. on behalf of Jenica Clover Ranch, LLC, rezoning 6 parcels containing approximately 24.72 acres from RR 1/2 rural residential 1/2 acre minimum and RR 5 rural residential 5 acre minimum to SF6, single family, 6,000 square foot minimum, and creating a 105 lot, single family residential subdivision generally located between Farm District Road to the south, Langdon Street to the north, Winnie Lane to the west, Nevada Pacific Boulevard to the east, APNs 021-331-15-19-20-22-29 and -38. Okay, hold please. Hold please. So I have a statement, Planning Commission NRS 281A.420 requires me to disclose a conflict of interest. The matter before this body affects a material interest in on my commitment in a private capacity, as my home is on the adjoining property. I conclude that the independence of the judgment of a reasonable person would be materially affected by this relationship. I am going to be abstaining from voting on this matter. Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much. Elisa Johansson, Senior Planner for the record. I'm here tonight to discuss Chaparral Estates, ZMA 25001 and TSM 25001. The 24.72 acre project, as we mentioned already, is located between Farm District Road to the south, Langdon Street to the north, Winnie Lane to the west, and Nevada Pacific Boulevard to the east. The site is split zoned RR 1/2 rural residential, half-acre minimum, and RR 5 rural residential, 5-acre minimum. The surrounding zoning pattern is also residential. We have single-family residential in the SF6 zoning district to the north, more RR5, excuse me, to the south, RR5 and single family with a 20,000 square foot minimum lot size to the east, and RR1 and RR5 to the west. Here is a vicinity map and reduced site plan so you can orient yourselves and see how the proposed subdivision fits in. Here is a zoning comparison. The existing zoning designations are shown on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see the RR 1/2 zoning covers 5 of the 6 subject parcels, and 1 parcel is zoned RR 5. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the proposed zoning designation of SF6. Here is a dimensional standard zoning comparison. So the 2 existing zones are in the center of the table and the proposed zone is on the far right. I'll give you a moment to digest the differences. The most notable differences, of course, are the lot size and the lot dimensions. Here is a preliminary site plan. The proposed subdivision comprises 105 lots, of which 102 are proposed to be developed with dwelling units. The subdivision is generally oriented north-south. The zoning map amendment requires that 3 findings be made. The first finding is that the project is consistent with the city's master plan and otherwise consistent with state and federal law. The SF6 zoning district is consistent with the underlying master plan land use of single-family residential. I've included a snip from the comprehensive plan on your screen. The SF6 zoning district also supports several comprehensive plan policies for growth management, housing, and resource conservation, including LU 1.1, which encourages new development to be in areas where adequate public services and facilities can be provided efficiently. The site is considered infill development, so LU 1.5 is also supported by this project as an infill development site. HP 1.1, enhancing Fernley's vitality as a community by providing a variety of housing types, density, and costs. With the smaller lot size, that makes these lots a little bit more affordable for our residents and so contributes to a varied housing stock within the city. LU 1.2 is also supported, and I want to note that these are not the only policies supported. The full listing is in your staff report. LU 1.2 encourages new development to be in accordance with the comprehensive master plan land use category, which, as I already mentioned, is consistent with the requested zone change to SF6. For the second finding, we are asked to consider whether the request is consistent with the surrounding land uses. We applied 2 lenses to this finding. The first being the comprehensive plan land use consideration. We found that the surrounding parcels are also mapped SFR in the comprehensive plan, which ensures consistency. We also evaluated established land uses, and the surrounding established residential uses would be compatible with the residential uses allowed in the SF6 zoning district. I've included a snip from the use table there showing very limited.
No one back here can hear.
Okay.
I mean, it's going all projecting forward and I'm all struggling as well to hear anything. I'm sorry.
Aaron Morrison, City Attorney, two things I recommend is just speak really, really closely. We're going to go get the tech to see if we can adjust the sound as well.
Okay. Is that better?
No.
Is this better? Okay. Moving along. The third finding, public notice must be given and a public hearing must be held. We are currently holding a public hearing. There will also be a public hearing held when this project proceeds to City Council. We provided legal ad in the Reno Gazette Journal in late July. Moving on to the tentative subdivision map, I will breeze through these. Okay. I understand. The first criterion requires that we consider compliance with environmental and health laws and regulations. The project has been designed to comply with all applicable regulations. Much of this would be addressed as we move forward to the final map process. On-site drainage facilities and public water and sewer systems will be permitted and constructed at a later date. Right now, we're really just tentatively mapping the subdivision and have conditioned the project to ensure compliance with the environmental and health laws that would apply. Criterion 2, availability of water, 1.12 acre feet will be required per lot. That must be dedicated prior to recording a final map. City facilities have preliminarily been determined to have adequate capacity to serve the development. Availability and accessibility of utilities. Water is available in Fort Sutter Boulevard to the north, and sewer is available in Westward Lane to the east. Power and communication utilities are already available on or near the site. Moving on to finding 4, availability and accessibility of public services. This infill development site is already within the developed city where police, fire, transportation, and recreation services and facilities can be provided. Consistency with zoning district regulations. The tentative subdivision has been examined for conformance with proposed zoning district standards. No apparent correction items were found. The project also conforms to the transportation master plan, and the proposed streets within the subdivision will be designed to City of Fernley standards. We do not anticipate that the proposed subdivision will have any adverse impacts on adjoining streets and roadways. The project proponents provided a traffic analysis that demonstrated that future year plus project conditions did not indicate that there were any mitigation measures required beyond the recommended improvements to Farm District Road and Clover Lane. Almost at the finish line here. We also evaluated the physical land characteristics of the site. The site is gently sloped. It is not mapped within any FEMA floodplains. The on-site soils, while varied in their suitability for construction, do not appear to pose a hazard, and there are no major elevation differentials with abutting properties. There are also no outstanding comments from review bodies. Comments that have not been addressed directly through corrected plans have been incorporated into the conditions of approval. As I've already mentioned, the project will conform to Master Sewer and Water Utility Plan through regulations applied during the permitting process. That will come, as I mentioned, later. And finally, ensuring compliance with the code and all other applicable regulations. As I noted, the project has been conditioned for compliance where corrected plans were not received. We do recommend that you approve this project, and the approval language is on your screen. If you desire to make an alternative motion, such as a denial, I would ask that you please state the applicable finding that you are unable to make and state the supporting impacts, facts, or considerations that helped you make that decision. Are there any questions?
Okay. Do we have any questions from the commission?
Okay.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes, I had a question regarding because these are small lots, I presume they're going to be built in 2 stories. Am I right about that?
That information is not available to us at this juncture.
But are they allowed to build 2 stories there?
That would be allowed in the SF6 zoning district, yes.
Okay, I'm not clear about also regulations on basements in Fernley, livable basements. Does that count as an additional square footage of use? So would that be restricted? I wonder.
The SF6 zoning district does not establish a floor area ratio or a floor area limit.
Okay.
The dimensional standards talk about things like exterior measurable dimensional standards such as setbacks, lot coverage. So a basement would, yes, be considered an area of use, but it would not be regulated through the dimensional standards of the zone.
Okay. And that's all for now.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission at this time? Okay. Do we have some public comment?
Madam Chairman, Michelle Rambo over here. The developer has a presentation.
Oh, okay. So before public comment, sorry. They can't. If you can speak, you got to speak right into the microphone and speak loud.
Okay. All right. Is that better?
No, they're saying no.
Okay. I'll try to talk as loud as I can. My name is Eric Hasty. I'm with Wood Rogers. I'm representing the applicant tonight. Alyssa did get a job of going over what we're proposing tonight, as well as how we're meeting the findings. I will try not to be too repetitive. So I think we all have a pretty good idea of where this is located. Again, this is on about 25 acres off of Clover Lane and south of Fort Sutter Boulevard. I would like to point out that we did host a neighborhood meeting prior to even submitting the application. We sent out mailers to residents within 750 feet, as well as residents along Roundup Road between Spurway and River Ranch Road. We did get comments there. We showed a preliminary plan that was not at the tentative map level. We did get comments there from some of the neighbors and incorporated their comments into the tentative map that we submitted. Just to reiterate, the current zoning is a mix of RR half acre and RR5. These are currently not conforming with the underlying land use of SFR. I don't need to highlight this to anybody in the room, but we all know that Fernley is growing, but I would just like to use this slide to point out some of the developments that have come along between Farm District and US 50, as well as some of the driving factors in that. Victory Logistics is proposing to add an estimated 10,000 jobs over the next 10 years. And with the connection of Nevada Pacific Parkway to US 50, this opens up additional traffic and traffic patterns to that. So this will give direct access to the area located in Chaparral Estates and will be a good source of housing. I just like to point out too, with the newer developments that have been approved in yellow, there are also the developments to the north, which reflect the zoning that's with the SF6 zoning designation. So a reason why we're proposing the SF6 zoning designation really comes down to affordability. If you look at the average home price in Fernley, this was in February of 2025. We just got an update. It's about the same. It's about $400,000. The average annual income for a two-person home in Fernley is about $88,000, and a four-person home is $117,000. So looking at those two, considering 20% down payment and current interest rates, your price range is between $350,000 and $460,000 if you're spending up to 36% of your income on that. So really the thing that is the biggest driver of affordable homes is the lot size. And if you look the at the lot size of 6,400 to 9,500 square feet puts us in this price range where a majority of the people within Fernley and specifically from those jobs that are going to be generated from the Victory Logistics facility will be able to afford. So with that, we are requesting a zone change to SF6 as well as a tentative map for 102 homes. There's 105 homes lots altogether because 3 of those parcels will be dedicated to common area. Looking at the zoning and justifications for the zoning, you can see that a majority of the zoning to the north is SF6. And this zoning designation of SS6 does comply with the City of Fernley Comprehensive Master Plan. There have been several other developments that I pointed out on the other slide that have been approved with the SF6 zoning designation as well. So going into some of the details of the tentative map, I would like to point out that we are proposing to extend the Fort Sutter Boulevard down through a City of Fernley parcel into this subdivision. And that is to help take traffic off of Farm District Road. We are aware of the concerns and the issues along Farm District Road. And so this proposal helps to alleviate that traffic. Most of the traffic that was considered in the traffic report that was submitted with this shows that most of the traffic would be going to the north along Fort Sutter Boulevard. The average lot size that we're proposing here is a little bit less than 8,000 square feet. So a lot of those perimeter lots are 8,000 square feet or larger. And then the interior lots go down. The minimum is 6,200 feet. This density will be similar to those developments to the north as well as other ones that have been approved in this area. We are also proposing a buffer, which we're calling a no-build buffer within the perimeter lots. So a minimum of 20 feet for a side and 30 feet for a rear. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like a little bit later on. But again, just want to point out that this development will make a connection from Clover Lane up to Fort Sutter Boulevard, so Farm District Road to US 50. Sorry. Okay. So looking at the perimeter no-build buffer, on the yellow, that indicates where this 20-foot side easement is. So those perimeter lots that are shown highlighted in yellow, that is a minimum 20 feet. So basically from the property line to where the house sits, you will not be allowed to have anything in there. So this will be landscaped for a backyard or a front yard. And I'll show what those fence lines look like in the next slide too. The minimum rear foot buffer, which applies to most of the perimeter lots, is a minimum of 30 feet, and that's in the rear. This complies with the residential adjacency standards that are found in Fernley Municipal Code. I would also like to point out at the connection of Langdon and Fort Sutter Boulevard, there is an existing residence on 4521 Langdon Street. We are going to be providing a 12 to 14 foot buffer there for where the property line is and where the back of the sidewalk is proposed to be. So looking at what we're proposing for fence lines, most of the fences along the property lines are going to be fenced, especially all along the east. And then to the west, these fences will be put on this no build buffer because there is an NV Energy easement through there. And we need to allow access for that power line there. Looking at traffic, as I said before, there was a traffic report that was proposed. We had this traffic report available prior to when we had that neighborhood meeting. So that was the reason for including those people that were going to be having traffic coming on along the road on Roundup Road there. And this shows that a majority of the traffic is going to be utilizing this connection to the north, with about 15 to 5% of the traffic utilizing Clover Lane and Farm District Road. So the average daily trips are about 71 a.m. peak trips and 96 p.m. peak hour trips. We did hear a lot of concerns from the neighbors at that neighborhood meeting about residents using this to come from Farm District Road up to US 50. And at first we had, Clover Lane pretty straight and made a pretty straight connection with Fort Sutter Boulevard. We did take those comments and then we added a few traffic calming measures in here, and including along where the preschool is. There is a preschool that is adjacent to the property. They had a lot of concerns about traffic there. And so we've included some of those in this design. So looking at the traffic calming measures that we've proposed, Fort Sutter Boulevard, when it enters into the property, instead of continuing going straight and, being open and accommodating to higher traffic, we put a chicane in there or a bend in the road. And then we are proposing 2 3-way stops. So one at Fort Sutter Boulevard and Langdon, and then one at Bristlecone and Fort Sutter Boulevard. This is right in front of that preschool. And so this will help to calm traffic, have people slow down, as well as provide safe pedestrian access for anyone just walking along the streets or accessing that preschool. The local road network within the development itself will include sidewalks on both sides, curb, gutter, and 2 travel lanes, and parking is allowed on both sides of the street. I would like to say that we are in agreement with all of the conditions that were proposed by city staff. We do have one that we would like to propose to amend. This is condition 30, which really only impacts Clover Lane from the south of the property to Farm District Road. So it's highlighted there in yellow. You can see the portion that this applies to. And what the current condition requires is curb, gutter, 2 travel lanes, and sidewalk on one side. Really what we are proposing with this is to remove that curb and gutter. There's several reasons for that. One is because this is still serving homes that are larger lot and don't really require the use of curb and gutter. 2 is that if this was to be developed in the future, then the curb and gutter would just have to be ripped up. It just seems like it's an additional cost to the city because the city will be responsible for maintaining that. So we would like to make the pedestrian connection from Clover Lane in the development in the north to Farm District Road. And there will be improvements along Farm District Road, which include a left turn lane into there. So Farm District Road will have to be widened. And then there will be an installation of a crosswalk and flashing beacons. So that we are proposing to amend this condition. This is what that language looks like. And with that, I'd like to just say that we are requesting a zone change to the SF6 for 102 lot subdivision. 3 of those parcels will be 3 of the parcels are common area. So that's 105 lots altogether. The city has recommended approval. We do meet all the conditions, and I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I have a question. You had talked about you're going to put up some good neighbor fencing.
Yeah.
So what type of fencing are you proposing?
Sorry, I'll go back to there.
Oh, wait. Go back to that last one. Keep going. No, the last slide.
Last slide.
Oh, the one before maybe. Oh, okay, right there. Stop.
Okay.
Like right on here. On this side.
On the
Where those where those power lines are and that irrigation ditch is?
Yeah, so the sides of the property will be fenced. I don't think we are proposing any fencing along that along where those power lines are and that property between that. But for the lot itself, the new lot that will be created, it will have a backyard fence. And then where the backs of those properties are, where the power line runs. So let me go back to my slide. So if you look on the left-hand side here, you can see that this is where those lots are. And so that line with the circles in it, that represents where the fence is going to be located. And so it will be right on that easement. So that green area there will be the open easement for the power lines, and that will be not fenced and as it is today.
So you're not going to put so where that irrigation ditch is, there'll only be backyard fences. You're not putting up a perimeter fence around
We're not proposing that with this tentative map.
okay. Okay. Commissioner Garvin, you have a question?
I do. Can you go back to that slide that she originally wanted?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. I'll just start with a basic comment. I don't know what it is about wanting to build a full residential neighborhood like this in the middle of rural residential properties. Looking at this vicinity map, every property around this tentative map are rural residential. And I would assume that they have livestock or doing some type of ranching around here. Not to mention that in your presentation, you wanted to ensure that these homes were affordable. And the first thing that comes to mind is this is going to be an investment property owner's dream. You're going to sell homes that are between $350,000 to $400,000. They're going to snatch them up and make them as rentals. So now we got rental properties all through there. And I know that we don't have a lot of single family homes that are rentals in the area. I'm on Facebook all the time looking at people that are wanting to find rentals and nothing is available. So making these homes affordable in the middle of these rural residential properties, to me, just doesn't, I mean, is there no other place to put such a neighborhood, at least that's actually closer to shopping, to gas stations, to things that I would think that people that are in a lower income bracket that could afford these types of homes, so they could live closer to get to.
So this is the size lots that we're proposing here are what's to the north, directly adjacent to the property. I would like just to clarify that the slide that I was showing previously with the with the numbers there, that's not what we're proposing. The houses are going to be at market value. We're not sure what the houses are going to be, but I'm just saying from an affordability standpoint, this is what you typically see in the market right now for lots that are this size. So we're not saying that these are what those houses will
Right.
be listed at.
So they're going to be smaller lots that are in a sort of a quiet neighborhood that's not going to be so quiet after these homes are built. And if you look at like driving through, let's say the golf course, the desert golf course, you can spot who's renting and who actually bought those homes out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what happens when you turn these properties into what were rural residential, or at least a sizable lot that an actual family could actually buy and be proud of, rather than these smaller lots that are, it really intended to be single family rentals.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this for a 4-person home, your average annual income is $117,000. The top of your price is about $460,000. So these are for families, right? We're not trying to. These will be purchasable on the market. So,
But so I just want to understand what it is about setting up, I guess, this type of neighborhood with so many homes where the surrounding properties are all rural residential, at least 5 to what is it? Yeah. 1 to 5 acres surrounding. How does this make sense?
I can't control what's outside of the property. Just what we're proposing. The master plan says that you're allowed to have SF6 zoning in this area. This is what the city master plan is asking for, and this is what we're providing with this SF6 zoning designation.
But the master plan also states that it should make sense with the surrounding property. So maybe, Michelle, can you comment on this?
Yeah, it's a complicated question that, sorry, Michelle Rambo, Planning Director.
Speak into the microphone.
I'm trying. I'll use my teacher voice. The master plan is a document that was approved by the city council as a guide for future development. So when it says that that entire area is anticipated to be single family residential, then that's what we aim for when we're looking at developments. SF6 is an approved by the council zoning designation under that single family residential. So then the surrounding properties, which are zoned, are half or 1, but they are also designated by the master plan as single family residential. So it is anticipated as development happens, as properties get sold and people build other housing products, that those houses, that neighborhood will also turn into smaller single family lots. It could be 50, 60 years from now. But that is what the city council has approved as part of the master plan to direct the future development of the city.
Can I just add one more thing too? I mean, this is market driven, right? And so if half-acre lots were selling and they were being sold, then that's probably what they would propose. But what we've seen is that that's not the case, right? And that's kind of what that is trying to highlight there is when you have half-acre lots, you're pricing a majority of the population out of that lot. And so this is really responding to the market.
Commissioner Lewis.
Yeah, but to go down to 6,000 square foot lots? I mean, we all know we're going to continue to fight this battle. You guys coming in and you know, what's going to happen is you guys will get a tentative subdivision map and then it'll go up for sale and a developer will buy it. And just like we've been occurring for the last couple of years. So I just, again, with her, don't understand why you guys can't find somewhere else to put some of these, you know, other developments versus ruining Farm District and its historical culture. And I will tell you that I think pretty much I'm going to fight you on the Clover item if this moves forward. You will have to pave and gutter that. Where are those people and those kids supposed to walk to elementary school? You want them to be walking down a dirt road and then hit Farm District so they can go to Cottonwood School?
So just 2 things. First, I just want to point out the minimum lot size in the SF zoning is 6,000 square feet. The average lot size we're proposing is 7,702 square feet, with the perimeter lots being 8,000 to 9,000 square feet. So that we're hoping that that transition does meet with the surrounding development. And then just for clarification, between the development and Farm District Road along Clover Lane there, we are still providing a pedestrian path that would be separated from the travel lanes that will make the connection from the sidewalk all the way down. There will be flashing beacons and a crosswalk that have to be installed because of this development at Farm District Road. And then that could connect to the multi-use path south of Farm District Road. So we are still providing a pedestrian path. We understand that people will be utilizing this and walking. We're not trying to have them walk on the road. And so I just want to point that out. Thanks.
Commissioner Flores.
Yeah, I have a question for the planning director, because I see there are small pieces of land here and there that are single family residential, not so much rural, but the developer would have to buy pieces of that, and it would not be contiguous. Would that bring a very expense to develop something like that, where like maybe you have 6 locations close by, but not in the same place? It just would that not be very inconvenient for a developer? Is that about right?
Is that question for me or for Michelle?
That was
For Michelle.
Okay.
I guess maybe I'm not understanding your question, but what developers tend to do is buy property as it's put up for sale, wait until they have a considerable number of acres, and then propose a development.
But contiguous acres, because
Yes,
because
contiguous.
because they could buy discontiguous acres here and there to try to infill where there's already single family residence, so there's no controversy. But isn't that more expensive to do that way, I presume?
I don't know. I would have to ask the developer.
Okay. Well, that's fine. But also, I note that I was looking at I was in Spanish Springs today, and I was looking at how little available housing stock there is there, and how it looks to me that that the housing that we build in Fernley is going to be much coveted by people who want to buy that are just a little bit outpriced over there in Spanish Springs or Reno even. I'm just saying that I'm not sure that I think these units are gonna get bought. Now, it's true, maybe a market buyer will flip them and buy have them sold for much more money. But I think these people are going to buy the houses and they're going to live in them, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Commissioner Lewis.
During your public comment with the neighbors, was there any consideration as to making the lots on the exterior, basically on Winnie and Clover, larger than the standard, what you're calling 7,000 square feet?
So public comment, we did not hear anything about that. From what I remember, it was traffic concerns. We were proposing 8 smaller lots at that time along the perimeter. We extended that based on what, the buffering and everything that we wanted to make sure that we were considering the adjacent neighbors. And so we actually extended that from what we had proposed at the public meeting to the tentative map level.
Thank you.
So you said that this is market driven. Do we have half-acre lots for sale that are just sitting that nobody's buying?
I mean, I'm a representative of the developers. That's not my wheelhouse. So,
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from Commissioner Vander Heiden?
Question for planning director. SF20 would also meet the master plan use?
Yes, it would.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Holt?
Thank you. I have a couple questions. I want to clarify that in some slides you call it a step ahead and in other slides you call it stepping stones preschool, but we're only talking about a step ahead that exists there in that area. Would this create a need for like an actual flashing, like legitimate school zone slow down sign like every other school has, or no, because it's not really a public school? Or has that been addressed?
I'm not sure. I mean, we did listen to their concerns about, people walking their kids to the place potentially if this development goes through. I'm not sure if it triggers any special signage or anything for what a school has. But we are proposing those stop signs so that you would have safe pedestrian crossing right there.
And then for the kids that are zoned for Cottonwood, are they within walking distance of Cottonwood or would they be on the buses? And if so, do you know where their current bus hub station would be? Because I know for a lot of parents of younger children, the distance that these kids are walking and in what conditions to these, even the bus hubs, let alone the schools, is a concern over and over each year.
Yeah, I'm not sure where. I think that's just something that the school district would probably look at after if this development is approved and built and see if they need to reevaluate where the stops are.
Okay. I got a little bit hung up on your slide about affordability because there's no citing of where this information came from, and it differs from the information that I'm familiar with as far as average income in Fernley and the way loans work and 20% down and also charging PMI. So I just feel like these numbers are skewed. Is there any source to refer to these? Or are these just kind of made up numbers that we plugged in?
No, this was from Redfin, the realtor site.
And it calls that the average annual household, not the median household average or the median
Yeah,
household?
I mean, so the average annual household income for two people, and then there are four people. We took those from Redfin.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around those numbers, but I will look at that again.
Okay.
Somebody had concerns about the non-owner occupier status of the homes and becoming too many rentals. Is there any thought of creating a limitation of how many non-owner occupied homes there could be with that concern in mind? Or is that the first time you've heard it and it's not an echoed thought?
Since that's the first time that I have had that request, I would need to make sure that it would be okay with the applicant. And so at this point, I don't think that would be something that we would want to entertain.
And then just to confirm that your numbers that you're coming with the affordability, it's really a sales pitch idea. There's zero commitment to selling a house within this price range if these were the lot sizes that were approved. Because based on market trends and labor and materials, you guys couldn't commit to a price of saying you could build a house right now and sell it for $350. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the general takeaway of this slide is just to show that larger lots, like the half-acre lots, are much larger than the median household income, and how that correlates with lot size. There is no commitment for pricing of these homes with this slide.
Median household income. Yes,
Yes.
not average household income.
Yes.
Okay, I think that answers the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Garvin.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to this slide because your presentation made it sound like these were going to be more affordable homes, but it doesn't seem like that's really something that's truly intended. It's going to be like market value for what it is. Second, I would have to agree with Commissioner Holt as far as the average annual income for Fernley, as far as a 2-person and 4-person, even if those were true numbers, they're not going to have the affordability to put down a 20% down payment for a $400,000 house. These are going to be FHA, which is why I'm going to go back to the point of if these are going to be the affordable homes because of these smaller lot sizes in a desirable neighborhood that's surrounded by a quiet, larger lot sizes, These are going to be not commercial, but property investment. It's a property investor's dream. And it is probably the worst nightmare for the surrounding homeowners around the neighborhood.
I mean, I think what I would say is the homes that are selling to the north in the development to the north, you could probably anticipate that in this development if this is approved.
However, to the north of that, okay, when you're getting closer to the 50, there's pretty much like an invisible like barrier, if you will, between those homes that are closer to the 50 and the homes that are closer to Farm District. And these homes that are closer to Farm District, they have their space, they want their space, they don't want to have these they don't want to commingle with these neighborhoods.
Okay, any further comments from the commission?
I just want to say thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Okay, if we're done with comments up here, we can open it to public comment.
Hello, my name is Jeff Kling. I live at 1115 Winnie's Lane, and my concern is flooding. Our irrigation ditch runs along the west side of the development and is subject to ditch blowout. We just had a blowout last month. It hasn't been an issue before because the water would flow on the irrigated land. With houses there, it would not be the same. Just like the flood Fernley experienced years ago when the canal blew out, the ditches are subject to blowout, mostly from rodents burrowing through the bank. I ask that you include piping of our system along the border of the subdivision. It would be approximately 800 feet of 24-inch pipe, an abutment, one head gate, and one access box. Just so you know, I would not benefit directly from the piping as I live just to the southwest of this development, but it would bring peace of mind not having to worry about bringing heartache to these new homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name's R.C. Herrera. I do border this projected subdivision to the west off of Winnie's Lane. I have 5 acres that border it. On the TCI Canal, like Jeff said, that ditch is elevated. So I've seen it personally on my property flood out into clover and that through that pasture, which was a pasture now, but to go through there. So yes, definitely something has to be done or there'll be some litigation happening in the future. Number 2 is this proposed tentative map, and of course the subdivision is bordered 3 sides by rural, but not only rural, but agricultural. So water-righted land that is irrigated and from April through October. So these circumstances exist and I'm worried about them. The other thing is, it was mentioned about sales and that. There's a subdivision directly to the east that is 1/2 acres. They're selling just fine and building beautiful homes. So just in consideration, thank you.
Thank you.
My name's already here. My name is Joyce Kling. I'm the water coordinator for this area that is along RC's property. Ours is up from that. And I noticed that when the gentleman spoke, he talked about there'd be no additional fence. I'm sorry, closer.
Bring it down.
Oh, pull it down. I'm sorry. That there's no additional fence. We have 5 acre-feet of water going through there. That can be a disaster because you're putting people that are Perhaps in a city situation where there's rural, 5 acre-feet of water in a ditch could really hurt a child. I'm very worried about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
By chance, we could get a map, like that one map that you wanted up there.
Sure. Can we get that map back up? The one that I requested?
The one that you wanted never got.
Okay,
Actually, that one there
That
will
one,
work
yeah.
fine.
Oh, go
Either
back.
one of those.
that one.
That one will work fine.
Okay.
My name's Stephen Griswold, and I have the property that is east of them, probably the one that goes the longest along their fence line. What I have not heard, and they said they'd get back to me and haven't, is you see that jag there on the right-hand side? That's where the water comes in. Okay, it drops in on their property to irrigate my down, right, right up a little bit, right in that corner, right in that blue corner right there. It drops in there and then it splits from there and goes into my property for irrigation. And it also goes down further down the road to cross the other road and irrigate another property across the street there. And it's always leaking. I mean, if they put a house in that area, it's going to flood. I guarantee it right now. Don't stand a chance that it's not going to flood. But they haven't got back to me. I brought it up at their other meeting. The other thing is I've got the most fence line there. What kind of fence line are they going to put there? So far in Fernley, I haven't seen many standing up unless it was brick wall. I mean, they blow down. My neighbor put up one. He took out the fences that we had because it was a net and wire fence and put up a wood fence, and it wasn't up 2 months and it blew down. So I would like to know what kind of fence they're going to put, or barriers they're going to put between us. I was asked by another person to ask, where's the park that they said was going to be there, and where's the drainage going to go from those houses? But that was my comment, was the irrigation and the fencing. I've argued about smaller size lots since I've come, because I was promised it'd never be less than 5 acres. Well, across the street, as they say, it's half-acre lots now. So, and also, Brown Lane is not a public road. Okay, it's a dirt road. It belongs to me and my neighbor. So if we really wanted to, I mean, the only thing through there is a TCID easement for irrigating. That's what a TCID easement is. So if I wanted, I could fence that off. I don't want to because I don't want to upset my neighbors, etc. I mean, I believe in being neighborly, but so that's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other public comment?
Thank you. If we can go back to that picture, I'm not a half an acre. I am what in that
Ma'am, can you please state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer Van Wormer. I live at 4521 Langdon, which in this picture is the standalone home at the tippy top of the blue. My backyard looks kind of towards that preschool. Yeah. And then adjacent to me is City of Fernley with the floodwater basin. I don't have a half-acre lot. I wish I did, but our concern is, yes, they did offer to add a 12 to 14-foot buffer between us and the proposed street. They want to push Fort Sutter through. We were also told it would never go through because of the flood basin wash that is there for flood control since we did flood. We were also told eventually there would be a park, which there isn't one in this development. We appreciate having the buffer. We don't appreciate the road being pushed through and then reconfiguring of the washes, what we were told, to make it fit. We already have a problem with speeding with the preschool there. We have a lot of parking. They park at my house and walk next to my fence to get to the preschool. We have no problem with that. We've even offered to try to, make it more official walkway for them, because otherwise they do have to go around. But there's 4 other ways to get to this development right now. Plus, there are 2 roads on either side of this development, partially built, blocked off because the rest is rural. So we don't appreciate them trying to force this road in there to accommodate now this 100 homes being shoved in there. So thank you. Oh, one other thing too. We asked if we have to have this road, we'd like boulders because people will crash there. Now they're proposing 2 3-way stop signs, which, that may help, but people don't always stop. And as we know, we just had a fatality day before yesterday, someone running through the fence. Unfortunately, medical, it sounds like, but I live here and I can tell you for the years I've lived here, they speed and someone will come through that fence into my yard or my home. And so we would ask if it gets forced down our throat, we would like some sort of boulders or something there to keep people from doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
Good evening. My name is Danya Herrera. I also live in one of the larger parcels. And the one thing that hasn't been mentioned, we were all here first with these larger parcels, and you have them on both sides of the subdivision, and there's been no consideration for our livestock. You're putting small lots, which are eventually going to be rentals, and you have children that will be in these properties that will venture out into our larger parcels and mess with our livestock. Who's going to protect us? Who's going to build fencing to keep them off of our properties so that we don't have a liability for some child making a bad mistake? We need fencing on both sides of the subdivision to protect us. And I don't mean the plastic stuff. We've seen that happen on Inglewood. People were throwing rocks through the plastic. It needs to be something substantial to protect the people from getting into our properties. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is something I don't do, but here we go.
Here we go.
Thank you. I'm shaking. Hi, my name is Rio Moeller. I've lived here since 1985. My friend that I'm with is Charlotte Barr. She lives on the northeast corner of Clover and Farm District. She has had people come into her yard, crash in through her fences and destroy her fences at least 2 times. At least 2 times. She gets irrigation. She's on 5 acres. She gets irrigation. Clover Lane is dirt. What are they going to do? I know that one picture you had, it was yellow, coming down Clover. Are they going to cut Clover off right at that bottom corner there where their development is? Are they going to put one of those concrete blocks or something so people can no longer use Clover Lane? Because that's the only way. Are they going to pave Clover Lane? She's already got so much traffic on there. It's really unsafe for us to pull out of Clover Lane to get onto Farm District to head west. It's already so dangerous because 45 is the speed limit, but people just are amazingly fast on Farm District. Farm District, the whole city is getting overrun with a lot of a lot of extra traffic, but Clover Lane cannot handle it. It's dirt. There's her ditches on the one side where all the water comes and goes to Carol's property, which is just Carol's property is just south of that bottom line. And then Charlotte's is the next one over. So, and then All Out, I think, is the one next to her. But anyway, it's a dirt road. Are they going to pave it? Are they, that's her up to that road is actually a private road. It's not supposed to be for the people going to the, up to the school, up to that daycare or anything. And if you're talking about people being able to drive down Clover Lane, it's impossible for they're going to have to do so many improvements, and that's her land. So are they going to pay her for that land? I mean, how wide is that? If they're going to put an asphalt road, if they're going to pave Clover, how wide are they going to do it? Are they going to infringe on her property? And then she's got the other side that same way, all the way up that where, like I say, on that one picture, it was all yellow. And I'd like to know what they're doing for that, because right now she's 93 years old, and for her to get out of her driveway, which is right on the corner there, those people that are going to daycare, they just fly through there. And it's just very, very dangerous. And I'd like to know what they're going to do about North Clover Lane.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other public comment? Okay, be it none. Commissioner Lewis.
I'm going to make a motion to continue this item to next month's meeting based on the previous continuance item following a presentation
2.1.
In regards to 2.1, Chris Molina regarding the management of SF6 zoning and its consequences. That is my motion.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
I will second.
I have
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Michelle Rambo, did we get a date on that motion?
What's the next meeting?
September 10th.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. Can we please vote?
Julianne Holt votes to approve.
Thank you.
Approve the continuance, right? This is how it's marked. We go through this every time, but I want to make sure we
Oh.
make it.
Aaron
sure that
Mortson,
it's
City
right.
Attorney, yes, you are voting not on the current item, but on the motion that you
That's
To
have.
continue. So if we vote yes, it'll
If you vote yes,
continue
it's
it.
continued to the next
Okay.
month.
We just got to double check every time.
Okay, that item passed 7-0, so we will vote on it at the next meeting. That item has been continued to the next meeting. Oh, wait, I did. You know what? Hold, please. I need to withdraw my vote on that. I did say I was going to abstain. How do I do that? I messed up. Sorry. Aaron, I accidentally voted, but it's being tabled. So,
Can we redo that vote?
so sorry. Okay. We don't need another motion. We just need to revote, correct?
Let's revote on the motion. So
Okay.
let's first do a motion to withdraw that decision from Commissioner Lewis. Once that one passes, let's revote on the item.
You're just going to do a motion to.
So we first need a motion to withdraw that decision.
Okay, I make a motion to withdraw the decision that was just set forth.
Okay, can I get a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, can we vote? I'm not
Except for you, don't vote.
voting.
Julianne Holt votes to approve.
Thank you. totally screwed that up. Thank you. Okay, that post passed 6 and 1 abstention.
And now
Okay.
let's do a revote on that commissioner item to continue it to the next
Okay. Okay, so now,
specific date of September 10th.
okay. Do we need another motion or just to
No,
revote?
we're aware of what the vote
Okay.
is. Just to clarify,
Okay,
Aaron Moore, City Attorney, just to clarify, that is the same motion to continue it to next month's item on September 10th.
okay.
Julianne Holt votes to approve.
Thank you. Save. Okay, excuse me. And again, that passes 6 with 1 abstention. Okay, carry on. 5.3, discussion and possible action regarding a request from the planning department to amend the home occupation use standards contained in Fernley Municipal Code, Title 32, Chapter 7, Section 200, Bill 364, CA 25003. Yes, ma'am.
Elisa Johansson, Senior Planner for the record. I'm here tonight to discuss some proposed changes to the home occupation use standards. Why are these changes needed? Well, the city has an increasing number of specialized businesses that would like to locate within the city. And some of those businesses are being conducted as home occupations. And the specialization is very challenging to regulate. The enforcement issues that we've been struggling with are exacerbated by our current code's lack of clarity or limits in certain places. So what that means is where we encounter parking issues, we've established associated vehicle limits. Where we have visual impact issues, we've now restricted storage of goods and trade and materials for home occupations to be stored within existing buildings to help ameliorate those visual impacts. Where we have scope and scale problems, we have reduced and restricted the use to enhance compatibility and to preserve the intent of home occupations and also to preserve the intent of the residential zoning districts. Our methodology included first significant research of the development codes for neighboring or regionally relevant jurisdictions. We then drafted a first draft of the code changes and then began significant internal consultation amongst planning department staff, business licensing staff, code enforcement staff, and finally legal counsel. And I want to extend my gratitude to everyone who helped with this effort. There are 2 findings that must be met for a development code text amendment. The first is that the development code text amendment be consistent with the city's master plan and otherwise consistent with state and federal law. These proposed changes are consistent with the master plan's goal of ensuring land use compatibility, preventing and mitigating adverse impacts resulting from development, encouraging development that can be efficiently served by services and infrastructure, and effectively managing growth. The second finding requires that we provide public notice and hold a public hearing. The public notice was provided via published legal ad in the Reno Gazette Journal in late July. A public hearing is currently being held, and we intend to hold a second public hearing when this project goes to council. The recommended motion language is on your screen. We do recommend approval. If you would like to make any other motion, such as a denial or a modification, I would ask that you please state your finding in your supporting analysis or identify your modification and state your rationale should you choose to request a modification. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Over here.
Commissioner Flores?
Yeah, there is such a thing as taking a large, say, a commercial building, right, of a retail building, and really subdividing into very small lots so people can do their home businesses right there. Fernley doesn't have a high cost for commercial rentals. I don't see why this can't be pushed into make accommodations by the planning to just make it very affordable for them to subdivide maybe a 100-foot building into 10 separate entities where they could work in there. There's no restriction in doing that, is there, to subdivide a building substantially like that?
That's correct. That would be allowed. I think what you're referring to are commonly called micro uses. So micro retail, micro cafes. It does provide some similar benefits to home occupations in that those micro businesses are incubators for larger businesses. They're a great way for small organizations to sort of gain a foothold in the market and grow from there. The issue with comparing that model to the home occupation model is that the infrastructure is completely different. So in the case of demising a large building into multiple small tenant spaces, that requires, on one hand, a desire to do so by the building owner.
Right.
And so without a suitable building or an agreeable building owner, the city does not have a way to encourage that type of development. Whereas home occupations, the infrastructure, the place for the home occupation to be conducted is already present. And so for folks that are interested in starting a small scale business that is appropriately suited to a residential neighborhood, that home occupation use gives them that foothold, that opportunity that would otherwise be missing. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And also just a commentary that I think there are some businesses that are inoffensive to a neighborhood that I don't think I would object to if I lived next to. For example, something where it's entirely electronic, right? Where it's all research and nobody sees anything. There's no movement of traffic, people visiting or anything like that. And also if it's something where they assemble something as packaging and they just drop it off at the post office and nobody visits them. I don't think I would have any objection to something like that. But it's a very narrow viewpoint in terms of what's actually going on, I presume, because what's going on is probably more extensive. Is that correct?
So yes, that is partially correct. What we've seen in terms of licensing requests for home occupations, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, those requests have both proliferated and they've become more complex. So the types of businesses that people are wanting to conduct from their home are no longer strictly the examples that you mentioned.
Okay.
For example, someone using an extra bedroom as a home office for a business that's conducted entirely online. That is a type of home occupation that we see, but it is no longer the most common type of home occupation. And so that is why we're proposing these changes. We're seeking to further restrict and narrow the scope of home occupations so that they can be made more compatible with the residential neighborhoods in which they are located.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what I need to know.
Commissioner
So-
Garvin, sorry.
We're talking in terms of, say, like at home daycares, somebody who can provide daycare services that is licensed to do so, or a hairdresser that has her own studio, or what are we talking about here?
So we are, in our promulgation of this code, choosing to focus on the other end of the spectrum. So which types of home occupations have we determined are not compatible and not appropriate? That's sort of where we focused our efforts. So that's why you'll see the inclusion of a brand new prohibited home occupations list in our proposed code. That was missing from the code's previous iteration. And so rather than specifically prescriptively identifying the types of home occupations that are permitted, we are instead focusing on the sort of the easier, smaller number of home occupations that can be identified on the negative end of the spectrum, those that are not appropriate, that are restricted.
Perfect. Thank you.
I was looking for that list as Section 11, Jake says.
Would you like me to read it out to you? I have it in front of me.
Would you please?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Prohibited home occupations. The following uses are not permitted as home occupations: adult businesses, animal services, except dog training, mobile grooming, or other services conducted off-site, auto and truck repair uses, except mobile repair services, Medical service uses, except for those services that do not result in client visits to the site of the home occupation, such as telehealth and mobile or in-home services for clients. Cosmetology services, massage services, except for call-out services conducted either in a mobile unit or in the home of the client. Manufacturing uses, except small-scale craft work or similar items. Contractor shops and skilled trade services, except when conducted off-site from a mobile unit. Restaurant uses, except for cottage food preparation and for food trucks and other mobile uses when sales are conducted off-site. Permitted uses must conform to all state and local health regulations. And on-site vehicle and equipment rentals and sales, except when conducted as a service provided entirely via telephonic or online means, for example, vehicle brokerage or rental fleet management. And we've also got waste-related uses, and then we've got some exceptions, which I'd be happy to go over as well.
Commissioner Garvin?
I'm sorry. Why is cosmetology services excluded?
So cosmetology services were excluded based on a number of things. Research of adjoining or regionally relevant jurisdictions and what they've allowed as home occupations. There are also other considerations such as the specific state licensing that is required. There are also other considerations such as the type of utility infrastructure that is required for that use. So we have elected to, rather than tangle with the complexity of the cosmetology use, we have elected to guide that use to commercial sites rather than allow it as a home occupation.
So I think we need to be more specific than just cosmetology, because I don't think that you need to have like all those different things for, let's say, doing makeup for somebody's wedding day versus chemically treating somebody's hair, all throughout the day.
That's a fair point. If you would like to make a modification, we would certainly consider that.
Also, I'm just going to ask, what does adult businesses entail?
Adult businesses are defined in our code. They typically relate to specified sexual activity or the depiction of such. It could be something like an adult theater, a lot of other business types that would fit into that category, but I think that illustrates the point.
But see,
Michelle-
there's a difference between watching adult theater type stuff and then engaging in. So I think there needs to be some specific.
But the issue here with adult businesses specifically, and this is part of the friction with home occupations, is that home occupations are not and should not be granted the full breadth of scope that a normal commercial use would be granted, because they are being cited within a residential dwelling unit in a residential zone. So we have to be extra careful to ensure that compatibility. And that's why we've been extra restrictive with our development of the prohibited home occupations list, because we're thinking of it from the lens. We're trying to balance both, permitting as many different types of home occupations as we can, but we also have to be careful because we need compatibility to be, sort of on the top of our priority list when we're thinking about how to regulate this use.
No, I get that. I would just like, as a regular person, I would think adult businesses are like the Bunny Ranch, for example. I wouldn't extend it out to, adult movies and things like that. So that's why I'm just saying that the specifics of it would be a little bit more helpful. Everything else, like, with, I can see the additional verbiage of everything else that for skilled licenses and things like that. But to be vague as adult businesses and then cosmetology services, that's why I'm saying there might be some specifics that we want to say. I can say you might not want to do Botox treatments. That would be not okay. But like I say, can you hear me? Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
Brenda Gosser for the record, Deputy City Clerk. I help manage the business licenses here in the city of Fernley. And so what you are referring to could be serviced by somebody that has a commercial location specifically for cosmetology, and then they do offsite work. That is covered in their license if they're going to do like a wedding or something like that. What we are referring to with this code update is there can be no clients visiting cosmetology businesses at home. So that is what we're going after. That's why we're restricting it.
But that's what somebody doing makeup, it's not environmentally harmful. It's not, it doesn't.
So it has to do with a lot more than that.
Okay.
The cosmetology board has regulations as far as if you're going to do cosmetology at a certain location, it has to meet certain requirements. The city has different requirements than cosmetology board, and so we can't meet them. So for example, one in our code currently, businesses that are located at a residential area, so home-based businesses, cannot advertise from their location. So they cannot have any signs at home that says, I am a business, I am in this residence. Cosmetology board requires that the people that are going to be doing cosmetology from any location have a sign.
So what does that do for people that sell like Amway products that have a lot of beauty products
So-
that's considered cosmetology?
No, so those are
or-
MLM.
But-
Those are MLM, and those are allowed because those are selling product. They're not a service. Yes. So there's different types, and certain things will be allowed, but not the visitation of a service for cosmetology at home.
Madam Chairman, Chairwoman, sorry, if I could.
Yes.
There is a provision in there that does allow for flexibility depending on the what the business is. And I'm business plan. We've asked that, if you show us a business plan that you're not going to be impacting the residents next door, that we can make some exceptions. So it isn't a blanket. No, it's never possible. It's just we can wiggle room if we have to.
Thanks for the assist, Michelle. Yes, as I mentioned, when we talked about the prohibited home occupation list, if you look at the very end of the list, there are 2 exceptions. And I want to draw your attention to the second exception. Other exceptions to the prohibited home occupations list may be approved by the administrator with the provision of a business plan. So if someone is proposing a new home occupation business and they feel that their business is on this prohibited home occupation list, but they think that they can meet the intent of the code, they believe they can make their proposed home occupation compatible, they can provide us with a detailed business plan, and based on the consideration of their specific circumstances, we might authorize an exception.
So animal services. I breed goats as, a side gig. Is this now going to be prohibited?
No, that once again, sorry, Michelle Rambo, Planning Director. Once again, this is for new businesses moving forward. Everybody that's doing whatever they're doing now is grandfathered in. So it would just be moving forward. Animal services is kind of is its own animal, so to speak, that we are addressing in a whole separate code that we're working on. And right for this is just, we don't want people bringing their dogs into a neighborhood where they could hurt somebody. We want the provider to go to that person's house where that dog is comfortable. And animal control, the supervisor, has been providing input on all of this. So the animal services, home occupation stuff that you see in this code is based on her recommendations. We are also, once we get to the full animal services code, we'll be looking more at some of those
Yeah, because
farming options. That'll fall into that category.
Yeah, one more
well, I
point
can
of,
even see people that breed dogs in a residential neighborhood. It doesn't hurt their neighbors or anything like that. That might be a little bit noisy, but puppies are so cute. So
that'll be handled under the animal services code that we'll bring in separate.
that will be later. Okay.
Okay.
yes, I, along with Michelle's point, I want to clarify that the terms that we're using in this list are, many of them are defined terms in our code. So we're using the development code's own definition of, for example, adult businesses or animal services. The animal service definitions are going to be coming before you in a future proposed code amendment. But right now, what we would utilize as a method for determining and classifying uses are the existing definitions in our code. So it would be a stricter read.
Okay. Any more? Commissioner Flores.
Just a quick question. It looks to me that we can amend this occupation as needed. It doesn't seem to me that it's very onerous. Just once a hazard is identified, can you actually stop the occupation, or do you have to guess what occupations are going to occur in the future? Is it possible to stop a business before there's a regular?
Could you clarify that question? I'm not quite following you.
Well, invents a new business of some sort, right?
Mhm.
And we find that it's detrimental to the neighborhood. Seriously, now we can't find a rationale specifically on that portion. Is there a way to just say we don't want you to do that anymore? Is there, or is it as it requires language directly stopping and curtailing that?
That's
that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm following you. I think the answer to that is manifold. Once a business license has been issued and once the home occupation has been authorized, enforcement does become more challenging. This code update does also include a stipulation, another exception, that legally established home occupations that precede the adoption of this new code would continue to be considered in compliance. But they do still have to comply with all of the normal regulations, the business licensing regulations, and other regulations not contemplated by the development code, but by some of the other chapters of our municipal code. In terms of how we adapt the code to brand new situations, that's kind of the nexus of where we are right now. That's why I'm standing before you presenting this amendment. We've had so many different types of businesses that have previously been unheard of as home occupations that are now proposed throughout the city. So part of what we're trying to do is allow the types of businesses that have not proven themselves to be problematic in the residential areas and restrict the ones that we know are problem children, so to speak. And there is, you are correct, a wide spectrum of grayness between, the home occupations that are easy yeses and the home occupations that are proposed to be prohibited in the new code. And we will simply need to exercise discretion when reviewing those businesses. What you're describing is no different from a new business that's proposed at a commercial location. Planning staff still has to make that same determination, that same use classification discussion still has to happen. And so we would apply the same methodology for home occupations as well, but with that added lens of ensuring compatibility with the residential neighborhood.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? What? Julianne?
Thank you. I really just had questions about how many current home businesses are there in Fernley right now? What are the most common types that we have? And who will this affect the most by implementing these new changes? Like, is there one specific avenue that this is creating more friction with than others?
That's a great question. I will have to ask for assistance from Ms. Gosser on that question.
We currently have about 1,900 licensed businesses. I would say about a third of them are home-based.
Wow.
We have a lot. And we have a lot of incoming applications We have a lot of an uptake on people wanting to move into home base versus renting at a commercial location. What was it? I'm sorry, what was the second part?
Are anyone going to be affected more than others? Are there certain businesses that we're going to affect more than others?
So correct me if I'm mistaken, but it's not going to affect the people that are currently licensed. They are grandfather in. It is going to affect those businesses that truly should be in a commercial location and not operated out of a home base. So, for example, companies that have multiple employees, they should be at a commercial location. Employees should not be reporting at a residence for work, that kind of stuff. It's going to be also kind of taking back a little bit of our streets because we have a lot of complaints from residents that businesses are impacting them. These are people that are neighbors to the businesses that currently exist in the city of Fernley.
And then I keep hearing about like the grandfather clause, but as I'm reading this, I may be missing the verbiage. Is that written into the document that we're reviewing, or is that kind of just stated as a blanket? We're supposed to know that it would be grandfathered for the ones who exist already.
It is written into the document. It's under 11L1. Legally permitted home occupations in existence as of the effective date of this ordinance are considered legally established and may continue operating provided that the use is not discontinued pursuant to section 3208040. That's a reference to our non-conforming and use abandonment section in the development code. The code continues, legally permitted home occupations required to obtain a new license are considered new and must adhere to current regulations. So what that means is if you're required to obtain a new license for any reason, for example, lapses, or if you are relocating, then you would have to comply with the current code. So we're trying to, by means of attrition, shrink the number of non-conforming home occupations as those home occupations naturally reach the end of their operating life.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this matter? Okay, I do believe that this is public comment. Is that
Correct. This is a public hearing.
okay? Do we have any public comment on this matter?
Hi, Becky Hallett for the record. I just find it odd that you can groom a dog at your house, but not a person. This,
Is dog grooming permitted?
As our code is currently written, sorry, Michelle Rambo, planning director. As our code is currently written, no, you cannot groom. You
Oh,
cannot have a grooming business.
oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood that. Sorry.
No, right now our code, and that's why we're redoing the animal services code, is because right now the only people that are allowed to do grooming in town are veterinarians. And it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. So,
So the mobile groomers aren't,
the mobile groomers are as long they're a home occupation.
okay.
And as long as they go to the other people's house to do it, they're fine. But yeah, in general, our code only allows veterinarians to do a lot of things. I mean, even boarding is only allowed by a veterinarian office.
But we have dog grooming businesses in town.
I know. That's why we're changing the code, because it doesn't make
Okay.
sense.
Okay, carry on. Any other public comment? All right, be it none. Can I get a motion? Commissioner Garvin.
I move to recommend approval of Bill 364 associated with CA 25003, amending the use standards for home occupations as proposed and presented by staff.
All right, I have a motion. Can I get a second? Commissioner Vanderheiden?
I will second.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second. Can we please vote?
Julianne Holt votes to approve.
Thank you. Okay, do you have any commission items? Should I take a recess?
It didn't come up.
Okay, that item passes 7-0. All right, next item, any chair or commission items? I have none. Any commission items? Okay, be it none. Any planning director items?
I do have a few. Michelle Rambo, Planning Director for the record. 7.1 updates on the city council actions. It's been kind of quiet at city council as far as planning goes. We haven't had a whole lot go forward. We've been doing a lot more behind the scenes stuff. July 16th, we didn't have any items on that agenda. August 6th, we had the first reading for the master plan amendment code of change that we heard, that you guys heard last month. So, but we do have a lot, like I said, going on behind the scenes. We have a new associate planner who will be starting on Monday. So we're very excited. Another pair of hands to help us out. We've got several big projects in, well, a capital improvement plan and an impact fee study. We've chosen a consultant for that, getting the contract put together for that. So that should get going soon. The infrastructure plan for the north and the southwest area is the same status. We've got a consultant. We're just working on a contract. The RFP for the south area plan is out and proposals are due on Friday. So we'll be getting that one getting that one started here soon. And then the master plan update RFP will be going out on Monday. And then we're giving them 6 weeks because it's a huge project. We're giving them the 6 weeks to put together proposals. So things are moving along. It's nice and busy.
All right, thank you. All right, do we have any requests for future agenda items? All right, be it none. This is the portion of the meeting devoted to the public. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or use the raise your hand feature in Zoom. *9 if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. Is there any public input? If you are speaking at the podium, please print your name on the sheet provided.
You didn't do the magic touch.
Oh,
Tammy-
magic touch.
Tammy Dittman for the record. I know we were all kind of frustrated about the sound, but I can tell you the speakers in the back just weren't working. So hopefully the next meetings, they'll be working. The other thing, I had a question on when things are posted, why they're posted to the Reno Gazette Journal, because most people don't look at paper media anymore. And I don't know if people actually see that there's changes posted that regarding the city of Fernley. So that was just my question.
Yeah, that's a good question because now we have a local paper.
We do. Michelle Rambo, Planning Director. The local paper is only printed once a week. And because of the timing of commission meetings and when the notices have to be out, once a week doesn't necessarily work. It works for some things that other departments will do, but for our purposes, because of NRS requirements, we still have to rely on the Reno Gazette Journal because it's published every day. We do also, I mean, it's not always just a published notice. We do send out, depending on the application type, we send out notices to the property owners. So, then that is required for certain application types as well. But if the paper, the local Fernley Reporter is published more often, we would definitely look at putting it in there.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Commissioner
Not
Garland?
to keep this meeting any longer than it needs to, but if the city of Fernley does do an excellent job posting the meeting agendas on Facebook. And you can also go to the agenda site on the cityofFernley.org website and subscribe to get emails anytime there's a council meeting so that you can get the agenda emailed to you on the Thursday or Friday before the meeting so that you can prepare yourself.
But that's not what I'm asking about. It's the notice of postings for changes to.
Yeah.
So that is on a paper. That's not through the website as far as I know.
Well, the agendas are on the
The-
website,
yeah, it would be on the agenda.
not the post.
Yeah.
She's right. The actual notices are not on the website.
Okay.
What about the Fallon Post? There's a Fallon newspaper. Do they do daily?
I don't know. And I don't know how widely circulated they are around here, because that's one of the NRS requirements is that it has to be a paper that reaches a certain population. So a certain number of people.
Yep.
So there's
Okay.
there's some other contingencies that we have to work with.
Okay. All right, is there anyone on Zoom? Nope. Okay, the next meeting will be September 10th at 5 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.